Welcome to the sound of the start of your weekend. This is the NTT20 betting show. It's sponsored by SBK. It's him, George Ellick, and me, Ali Maxwell, making betting picks ahead of the EFL weekend. George, how you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm about as well as I can be on a Thursday afternoon on account of currently standing on the precipice of 5 live games over the next 6 days, all within 20 miles of my home, which means that from now until about midnight on Tuesday, it's just wall-to-wall football. I'm talking Fulham Wimbledon. I'm talking Barnet Cheltenham, and then straight into Watford against West Ham. I'm talking Wimbledon Wigan on Sunday. I'm talking West Ham Wolves on Tuesday night.
Would you consider yourself a one-upper? Do you know what I mean by that?
What, like if you've been to Tenerife, I've been to 11
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would agree, because it feels like you've taken my opening weekend, but I watched 5 games, including on TV. I was quite proud of it and told everyone about it. You were like, no, I'm going to watch 5 games in the flesh.
I'm going to get the sights and smells. I'm going to smell the fried onion on the burgers in the vans outside.
The sights and smells of my living room.
5 separate football stadia. Yeah. I'm going to hear the ironic cheers when referees finally give a free kick the right way. And we're going to be making some picks for this glorious weekend, which we're excited about. This show's very strictly for over 18s only, and betting does come with risks. So please make sure you understand them. The best place to go to brush up on them is gambleaware.org. Last week, your Birmingham Nap was not a winner. El Miz didn't score for Orient, and the League Two Trixie was no good. But
Yankee, even worse.
You got Posh up at a really nice price.
9 to 5.
That's one of my favourite.
A tribute to Dolly.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you.
9 to 5. What a way to win a betting show pick.
Thank you.
That's the sort of thing that I love when you do on the show. It really surprised me that you were backing Peterborough, because it's not a team that we think are a very good team, but everything's got a price.
Does it serve as a reminder that you bet prices, not teams?
Mm-hmm. You explained it. It made sense. They won. Lovely stuff. You also swerved Leicester City. They were tremendously short, 8 to 15 to beat Burton, who ended up beating them, successfully swerved. Good stuff. The headline for me was not a single winner. Within that, we had Oldham, the Nap, 1-0 up, went down to 10 men in the first half, ended up losing the game, and the red card got overturned just days later. That's always a fun one. Yeah, goalscorer Trixie, we got Gudjonsson up for Blackburn, but not Lisby or Wareham, who both went quite close, so annoying, but I'm going to say encouraging. Buyabu and Shocknessy at double-figure prices didn't cop either, and the Eggman Acca was full of draws. George, what is your best bet this weekend?
Doncaster to beat Stevenage away from home. Now, this is one where I'm going to activate the 2-up concession.
Feature.
What is it? Bonus.
It's a feature. Yeah, it's a feature
with
of
SBK,
SBK.
meaning that I get paid out. They're 2-1 to win the game. They're 15-8 with the 2-up feature, which means if they go 2-0 in the game, then it wins, no matter what happens next. The reason for that being they're an away team. If they go 2-0 in the game, the chances are the pendulum will swing in terms of where we are. And, you know, whether or not they can hold on to it is anyone's guess. They've already been pegged back twice in their opening game, if that's a thing, against Mansfield. But Donny are a team, like with Stevenage, it's kind of say what you see. They have started the season really poorly, having been a playoff contender last season, drawing their opening game. They then were beaten 2-0 by Oxford, my team. I'm not particularly convinced by us so far. I wouldn't say that's kind of a regulation away win that would not make me a bit concerned about Stevenage. They were very poor in the second half there. And then in midweek, they played Reading in the Carabao Cup and were beaten 3-0. Now, again, I'm pretty happy to ignore. Sorry, it's 2-1 against Oxford.
I was going to say, you must have switched off before the 98th
They scored in the 98th minute. So they were beaten 3-0 by Reading. Reading were pretty good in the game. It was a Reading team without Lewis Wing. It was a Reading team without Jack Marriott, but they were still well beaten. So having been so good defensively last season, they've now conceded 5 goals in their 2 home games, in their last 2 home games. And they're up against the Donny side that I think have been better than their bare results. Like, you know, they were beaten 3-1 by Middlesbrough in the Carabao. Again, you know, Carabao, you're pretty happy to ignore that against a strong Middlesbrough team, and they rested a lot of players. But the one bit of form you have to go off more recently was their home game against Barnsley, that they drew 0-0. Now, they were the better team here. It was 1.82 XG to 0.45. They were the better team in the game in my mind, had created the better chances. Just poor finishing really letting them down. They've got a team of players I'm pretty positive about. Alfie May coming in to lead the line. He's yet to kind of do his thing, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time until he's scoring a lot of goals. Owen Bailey was rested and came off the bench in midweek, understandably, as was Jordan Thomas, their new signing, who's kind of been brought in to replace Molyneux on the right-hand side. I don't think he'll be as good as Molyneux was, but he's certainly a player that impressed at Cheltenham at times. Adelican on the left-hand side. There's a lot of attacking threat in here. And they've signed, in the last couple of days, a player that I really like in Tommy O'Reilly, on loan from Aston Villa, who spent last season at Crewe. He is phenomenally good. I think he's going to be, someone who can come into what is already a very good attacking side and make a big difference there. So, given, on paper, these are two teams that have started quite poorly, I think Doncaster's performances themselves have actually been better. I think they've got better players. And I think that there is, with Stevenage last season, Alex Ravel did an incredible job. And, for part of the season, in the middle of the campaign, they looked like they were falling away before they came back. But this isn't necessarily a squad of players you'd anticipate would be up there. And maybe there's a little bit of last season still in the prices that they're going off at the moment. So, they were a bit bigger. They were kind of bigger than 2-1. It's slowly been kind of chipped away at over the last couple of days. But I'm still happy enough to go with Donny to win this one as my best bet of the weekend.
Very nice. In the Championship for my nap. In fact, a bit unusual, but there are some big outsiders that I want to get with. I'm going to use my 2-point nap for a Championship Trixie.
Wow.
That's 2 doubles and a treble, no singles. Not normally how I'd approach things or how I will approach things most weeks, but just kind of fits what stood out to me most of this weekend across the 3 leagues. I think there are some prices here which reflect a lot of outright market prices, pre-season outright market prices, a lot of pre-season assumptions and basically hypotheticals being baked into these match prices, which I don't think at all reflect what we've actually seen so far on the pitch in 2 league games. Yes, it's a small sample size, but it's certainly more tangible than pre-season assumptions and hypotheticals, I would say, at this point. So we're early on in a season where things just haven't settled down yet. Results are a bit more random or harder to predict, generally because the status quo isn't set, and the teams that may well end up in the top 2 or the top 4 after 44 more matches, not always the ones that start well. And, broadly, I'm talking about the relegated Premier League teams here, but I think there are some others that might be part of this as well, that might fit the bill. So the first leg of the Trixie is West Brom at Middlesbrough. 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. West Brom to win at 4.7 with SBK. That is 37-10. The joint third longest price in the whole EFL this weekend, West Brom.
Wow.
Only Stoke at Wolves and Cheltenham at Barnet are, as we record, a longer price to win. That means they're a longer price, West Brom, to win at Borough than Bromley are to win away at Sheffield Wednesday, which, amazing that that's even a league fixture, to be honest with you. Now, I understand the importance of the predictive qualities of underlying performance data, as well as the next man. In fact, dare I say it, possibly more than the next man. But this is one of those instances where I honestly feel like things have gone a bit mad with Borough, where things have gone a bit far with Borough. They look great at Hellberg in many ways and in portions of games, quite often to start. I like watching Borough and I like watching their matches, but for some time now, I haven't seen them look all-conquering for a full game. Quite often, the first 20 minutes, they come out quick. The first half, they come out quick. I think they've got a real issue sustaining that throughout a 90-minute football match. And there are lots of ways in which I don't think they look all-conquering at all. They don't look great defending transition attacks, to me. They give away the ball in dangerous areas without many men behind the ball. That's fairly normal early on this season with a team that plays this way with a lot of new players, but it's got to be a concern in the short term. Certainly was an issue against Blackburn. They must have the largest proportion of blocked shots in the league. Like, they do have a lot of territory and they do take a lot of shots, but they're not always great at getting really good free shots close to goal. I think with Borough, they may well warm up long term. The way that they play might take them to a top level team throughout the season, later on this season, and they may even click beautifully this weekend and then coast to automatic promotion. But we're betting on this game this weekend based on these prices, and in their last 20 league matches, almost half a season's worth, from the night they lost to Coventry to their defeat to Blackburn last weekend, which includes 3 playoff games, Borough have won 5, drawn 8 and lost 7. They've won 5 of 20. They've failed to win 15 of 20. And based on the first few weeks of this season and the last few months of last season, like, can we be this confident of a Borough win against another team that also look really good? West Brom might not be posting the numbers of Borough, but since Eric Ramsey was sacked, they've been excellent. They lost to Oxford a few days later, but once James Morrison had read the right act to his squad, they've played 13 league games since then, won 6, drawn 6, lost only 1. This season, they've won both, a game against Norwich at Carrow Road, in which Norwich probably had the better chances, but they managed the away game well, and then they beat Burnley comfortably last weekend with an excellent performance. 5 goals in 2 games in the league, plus another 6 in 2 League Cup games. They scored for fun in pre-season. Morrison appears to have unlocked West Brom's attack, and they have Hegber back available for this one. There's one issue here. You might call it a red flag. I'll go with orange, because I do believe that this is good value. They played against Newcastle on Wednesday night, a 3-2 defeat with a only slightly rotated team. They are staying in the northeast for their game against Borough on Saturday lunchtime, so not unnecessary hours worth of travel, but clearly some potential fatigue, which is not ideal. It is not enough reason for me to be put off by what I think is a massive price. West Brom at 4.7 to beat Borough this weekend. SBK do have a 50% bet builder boost for this match, by the way. So if you're watching it, do take a look. You do have to opt in, and T's and C's apply, but a 50% bet builder boost for the Borough West Brom game. And then the second and third leg of the Trixie, I won't take so long on. I won't speak quite so passionately about. I could speak passionately about Millwall. I did on Monday. They are the second leg. They are away at Southampton. They are 3.85 currently with SBK, so just a touch under 3-1. They've been so impressive in the 2 games so far. They look solid at the back, having only faced 2 shots on target. Cooper and Taylor developing really nicely as a central defensive partnership. Jensen back and looks good in goal. Sturge, I think, is a great 1v1 defender at fullback. And the top of the pitch has looked electric. Coburn, Arcant, Lisby, Negley, Metcalf, 3 of those are new signings that have come in straight away and made a big impact, which bodes well for the season. They're up against Southampton, who have lost 1 and won 1, who I think defensively look very shaky. And if you like your underlying numbers, you know that last season, even during their winning run, they were defensively pretty shaky. They gave up a lot of chances, but Daniel Peretz, the goalkeeper, was saving at an absurd rate. He was papering over defensive cracks last season, but he has started this season really poorly. Clanger in midweek against West Ham in a 4-1 defeat in the League Cup. They lost to Watford off the back of a really poor first half. They beat Stoke, but that first half was really poor as well. And I'm starting to wonder if Eckert's setting them up well, because if a team is starting games that slowly and taking that long to warm up, with a squad like this, I'm looking at tactical setup, to be honest. Peretz is not papering over the cracks at the moment, and it's bringing some chickens home to roost. So with Harwood Bellis out at the moment, not playing due to transfer speculation, Wood and Stevens just not a particularly scary back line. If these 2 teams play at broadly the same level as they have to start the season, there's no doubt in my mind who looks the better side at the moment and has hit the ground running. So at 3.85, that's the team I want to be with. Millwall at Southampton, and finally QPR to beat Blackburn at 2-1. That's the third leg of the Trixie. Both teams have started well. They're both on 4 points. Rovers have undeniably had the tougher fixtures and have handled Wolves away and then beat Borough at home. And I do understand why they're favourites with the home advantage. But Rovers, historically in the last few years, not a great home team. Don't get a great atmosphere because of the unhappiness of the fans more broadly. And I'm interested in these QPR performances to start the season. The first game, an away win at Portsmouth, really encouraging performance and win. The second game, a 0-0 draw at home to Bolton. They absolutely battered them. Really encouraging performance, slicing them open. If that game had finished 4-0, no one would have batted an eyelid. Their availability is very encouraging. Loads of players that were injured last season look fit and fresh, and therefore the bench is looking a lot deeper as well, which will help them play better for longer in games. They've also had the midweek off where Blackburn Rovers played Sheffield United in the Cup. QPR have been resting before making the trip up north. So I think 2-1 is worth a play. 3 teams in the Championship, all away from home. I think all value. I'm doing a 2-point Trixie. That is 3 doubles and a treble, all 0.5 point stakes. The doubles range from 10-1 to 17-1, and the treble is at 50.0 with SBK.
My next best, MK Dons to beat Leicester City at 9-5. Again, nice tribute to Dolly. I'm pretty. Well, I'm not surprised because Leicester are still favourites to win League One. Leicester are still going off absurd prices in all their games, and I cannot, for the life of me, understand why. They were beaten 2-1 by Burton, starting the game terribly. going down to 10 men, sure, dominated the ball in the second half, sure, but realistically, when that game was there 2-1 or lost, they were really, really quite bad. They went to Ipswich in midweek in the Carabao Cup and were beaten 3-1. No great shame there. Russell Martin talking afterwards how, I like this, he said it was a very young team because they're young, but also because they've only been playing together quite recently. So young in every sense. I don't love the Russell Martin bashing because I do think there is a chance that given time he might sort this out. And I do think that his last 3 jobs have all been hiding to nothing to a degree. And this, I think, is the same, where the expectation level around Leicester, where they should be, what they should be doing, or the perception of what they should be doing, just doesn't marry up at all, in my view, with the actual quality of the squad he's got available, the depth of team he's got available. And you consider, like when we did the 1-24s, we spoke about Leicester and how they were obviously going to strengthen, and that was going to help. And you saw the Burns and Chaplin and thought they were going down that line. Now they're signing players, young players from Europe, of whom the quality is, they might be good, but I have no reason to consider Leicester being one of these teams. You look at them going out and plucking 19-year-old centre-backs and thinking, yeah, this guy's going to be class. Bristic, their striker, they brought in, the Slovenian, played against Burton, was hooked pretty early on, didn't look great. They might turn out to be good signings, but are they the signings that Leicester City need right now to turn them into a good team? Compare that with MK Dons, who have 2 draws in their 2 games so far. They were the better team against Oxford and drew 2-2. They were second best against a Huddersfield team that I think have been the best team in the league so far, and drew that game 1-1. It's a tough start for them back in League One. Oxford, followed by Huddersfield, followed by Leicester. But in terms of a clash of styles, like for Paul Warne and his team coming up against a young, inexperienced Russell Martin side who are going to want to play out from the back consistently, I cannot think of a better opponent for them and the way this team approach things. They'll dominate the middle of the park because in Wintle and Barlas, they've got 2 players who, they won't dominate possession, but I think they'll dominate the midfield battle. They've got in Nombe and in Collins strikers who are going to be consistently big goal threats, quality in wide areas. It's an MK Dons that I still really, really like. I think they should definitely be favourites to win this game. Like, even if Leicester turn up and it clicks and they play them off the pitch, they win it easily, fine. But the evidence we have to hand as to which of these 2 teams right now is a better, more functioning side, and who in this matchup is more better equipped to deal with the threats the opposition pose. Yeah, I can't really see why. At the moment it's 9-5 MK, 7-5 Leicester. I think it should be the other way around. So MK my next best.
Very nice. Yeah, time for Goal Scorer Corner. Before I get into it, let's just remind you about the bet feed on SBK. That is a feature of theirs which is pretty unique. Yeah, if you use the SBK app, you can have your own profile. We have our own profile on Not the Top 20. If you search NTT20 in the search bar in the SBK app, you can follow our account on there. All the bets that we place on this show are posted on our bet feed profile, so you can find them easily and copy them if you like. There is also an SBK sign-up offer for anyone that doesn't have an account. Just use the link in the description to get £60 in free bets when you sign up and place your first bet of £20. T&Cs do apply there. Please make sure you read them before making the most of that sign-up offer. Now, Goal Scorer Corner, just the 2 this week. Friday night klaxon to start with. Danny Imre, anytime for Wrexham against Birmingham at 8.8 with SBK. So just a shade under 8-1. The right wing back that has signed in the summer and looked really, really lively straight away. Has looked like a big goal threat straight away. And the fun thing about Imre is that's not a surprise. We've seen him play for Bromley and for Blackpool. And what we saw even when playing in a back 4, but now particularly playing with a wing back with even more license to get forward, is that this is a guy who is incredibly quick, has amazing stamina, and just has that appetite to break his neck, to get right to the back post, to get inside the box, not wait on the edge for a ball to be headed away, but attack crosses. And obviously when you are playing, if you are attacking the back post as a wing back, when you've got Kiefer Moore and number 10s to handle up against a team in Birmingham on Friday night who play a back 4, you have to always be encouraged by the fact that your wing back attacking the back post could be the spare man, could be the overload, if you like. So for Imre, I think an obvious target. They put a lot of crosses in and he just looks quite dangerous. Birmingham seem to be quite close to managerial mutiny after getting absolutely tonked by Brentford in midweek after a poor performance in their first home league game. I think Wrexham are a tempting price on Friday night, but I'd rather be on Danny Imre to score any time at 8.8 because I think he'll get into some really good positions. And if Birmingham do turn up and they are kind of done in the Chris Davis era, if it is a game that looks like Wrexham will win comfortably, then we'll be pretty excited to be on Imre at 8.8. SBK do have a free £2 bet builder for the Wrexham-Birmingham game on Friday night. If you want to check that out, you have to opt in to it on the SBK app. And secondly, Ryan Kavuma McQueen of Portsmouth, 6.4 anytime to score for Pompey at Bristol City. I mentioned on the show last week that I had Portsmouth wingers on my radar, and both of them really stood out against Lincoln. Kavuma McQueen scored the first. Abu Kamara looked great as well, and frankly, I think he looks like decent value at the moment in the goal scorer markets. But Kavuma McQueen was the one that scored, looks super lively. He's the bigger price, and he's my selection. I think this is a more than fair price that probably won't last too much longer based on what I've seen. Ryan Kavuma McQueen at 6.4 anytime joins Danny Imre of Wrexham at 8.8 anytime. I've not used the fresh legs feature for either of those, so I have got a longer price and a half-point double at 60.0, so 59 to 1 with SBK. I've got a point each on Danny Imre at 8.8 anytime for Wrexham against Birmingham, and Ryan Kavuma McQueen 6.4 anytime Pompey at Bristol City, and a half-point double as well.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Wrexham-Birmingham game on Friday night. I am excited for this one. And I've got a goal scorer in that game as well for Goal Scorer Corner. And that is Ollie Rathbone. Now, Rathbone had a, quite frankly, absurd goal scoring record, or goal scoring, goal involvements record last season. Playing in a more advanced role, at the moment it's basically him and Broadhead kind of playing off Kiefer Moore. He's someone that gets himself into amazing goal scoring positions and is a very good finisher as well. You know, he only started 13 games last season, only played 1,155 minutes and scored 7 goals. It was a frankly absurd return for a player like him. I watched the game against Cardiff, and even though he didn't have a shot, there were a couple of occasions I backed him to score where he got into really good areas and the ball just didn't quite fall for him. He went really close to scoring against Watford, fired a shot from close range over the bar. So he is 17 to 5 score anytime with SBK. And that's with fresh legs. And again, fresh legs is the feature with SBK. That means if your player comes off substituted, you get whoever they are substituted on for. So it's definitely worth having it on because he always comes off with a couple of minutes about 20 minutes or so left to go in games. Against Watford, he came off for Bailey Kadamatri, who we know is an attacking player. So it's a very good one to be substituted off for. And, you know, it's especially if they're chasing a game, given the position he plays in, it's likely that he will be brought off for an attacking player. So I'd keep that on. Now, you mentioned that you like Danny Imre as well, as he was one of your 2 goal scorers.
Imre.
And you mentioned that there's a £2 free bet builder in this game for SBK users. And I have like an extra fancy here, which isn't going to be an official tip, but I think goals in this game, it screams goals. And yet the goal line isn't that high. Over 2.5, for example, I think is around about the 10 to 11 mark. So given that, you know, if you think about last season, and weirdly enough, 20 to 21, so just short of even money for over 2.5 goals. If you think of the games that Wrexham played at home last season, like anyone who's a long-term listeners to the betting show will know that we've been talking about Wrexham's home record and the goals in the home games. But also think back to their home games on Sky Sports recently. Now, there's no reason for this to be the case. I'm not conspiracy theory saying it's being shown to the world, so they want to... But there's something about this group and... You know, Boxing Day, 5-3 against Sheffield United. Like the third last game of the season against Southampton, they were beaten 5-1. Ipswich, 5-3. Like there's something about these big Wrexham games at home that seems to yield drama and goals. And there were loads of other games last season in the Championship.
Wrexham-Chelsea in the Cup, 4-2 Chelsea. Wrexham-Forest in the Cup, 3-3.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's weird. I don't know why. And then you've also got a Birmingham team who, as you say, things really unravelled against Brentford in midweek. They lost the game 6-1. Given that this could be the end of the Chris Davis era, if it goes wrong, it feels like it could be quite a frenetic game. So my bet builder, if you'll let me, 149 to 1.
Amazing.
Over 5.5 goals.
Jesus.
Ollie Rathbone to score. Danny Murray to score.
We're actually giving away 2 tickets to Millwall against Wrexham next Wednesday night at the Den, 2nd of September. These tickets courtesy of SBK, who are back of shirt and short sponsors for Millwall this season. George, this is the sort of fixture that really gets my juices flowing. I'm pretty into Millwall at the moment, as you know. Wrexham are always a good watch. An early season midweek fixture in the dying summer light at the Den. 2 strong teams, one of my favourite grounds in the country. The atmosphere is going to be electric.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It should be a great game, especially with the extension to 8 teams going, 6 teams going in the playoffs from 3rd down to 8th. It feels like these are 2 teams where falling out of those 8 would be unthought of, and therefore it should be a bit of needle in there.
To enter, you must be over 18 to enter this giveaway. Head to @NTT20pod on either Instagram or on X, formerly known as Twitter. There is a giveaway video on there, which you will find very easily. It has all the details on how to enter to be in with a chance of winning 2 tickets to Millwall Wrexham next Wednesday. But you have to follow NTT20 pod channels, follow SBK channels, comment on the video with a score prediction for Millwall v Wrexham, and you're entered with a chance of going to that game. Massive early season game. You have until Monday, 10 a.m. Be lucky. Go well.
Because you said go well, loads of people just turned off the pod now. I'm never going to hear my Aka swerve.
Well, please tell me who I should be swerving this weekend.
Salford. Got to be Salford. League 2. They're 20-21 away at Shrewsbury. I think Shrewsbury are kind of the perfect opponent to have them for this Aka swerve, because they've started the season seemingly quite poorly, beaten 3-1 by Barnet last time out, and then absolutely hammered, or were they, by Fleetwood 4-0 in a game where they, I think, outshot Fleetwood and had basically the same XG, both about 1. So maybe it was just a case of good finishing from Fleetwood. There was an own goal in there as well. Also, I would say that at 1-1 in the game against Barnet now favourites for the title, there was a period where Shrewsbury had the better chances and easily could have gone ahead. I'm not sure Shrews are as bad as early results suggests, but with Salford, we're seeing basically nothing under Peter Klimowski so far. They've been incredibly poor. Well beaten 3-1 by Barnet. Not Barnsley, Barnet. And then go 1-0 down at home to Chesterfield after 2 minutes and hit the woodwork twice from set pieces, but from open play create very little. We are not seeing a team, we always say backing odds-on favourites away from home in League 2 is a very quick way to the poorhouse. And this one in particular looks crazy, given Salford being priced up, seemingly on reputation and player quality alone rather than actual footballing performance.
Okay, time for the Eggman. It's at 39-1 with SBK as we record, but because of SBK's ACCA boosts as well, we get a 6% boost on that price for a 5-fold. I've been very championship heavy so far with the Nap, Trixie, and with the goal scorers. So just League 1 and League 2 here. 4 home teams. Blackpool to start at home to Posh. Really impressed with Blackpool so far. Really impressed, actually. I liked the look of their opening day draw against Wickham, and they backed it up with a really solid away win at Stockport County, where they took early chances that they created with good direct counter-attacking play, with Bloxham in particular looking very dangerous on the break, looking very quick and strong and big. And then they defended pretty well, albeit they did rely a little bit on Bailey, Peacock, Farrell to get over the line. I think the level they're showing is really encouraging. Peterborough are not looking so good in the league. They did win late against Mansfield. It's a pretty tight game. And as mentioned on Monday, I'm pretty alarmed by some of the defending that I've seen from Peterborough in the league so far this season. They had a very eye-catching 6-1 win at Watford. And they've signed Danny Ormerod, who's a goal-scoring National League striker from Fylde. But I'm going to need to see it before I get excited. Leonard and Shoffa Woke do look very exciting in attack. But overall, I think Blackpool are a decent thing at home to Posh this weekend. I would expect them to cause Peterborough's defence a lot of problems. And it's a young Posh side that I think will struggle. MK to beat Leicester at home. You've already gone through it as your next best. I'm completely on board with this. MK look big, strong, coherent, slick, confident. Collins looking good at the top of the pitch. Barlaser in midfield looking excellent. Leicester, MK are in the Eggman. In League Two, we got Bristol Rovers away at Crawley Town. I'm very pro Bristol Rovers from pre-season. They lost a really topsy-turvy game at York on opening day and then beat Newport in that crazy game last weekend. You always expect Steve Evans' teams to be big and scary and good from set pieces, but frankly with Shaq Ford, Bobby Camwell and Fabrizio Caven, the amount of technical quality, speed and skill they've got at the top of the pitch as well is pretty impressive. I don't think Crawley and Colin Kazim-Richards will be able to handle them, so Bristol Rovers are in there. Grimsby at home to Fleetwood. Solid start from Grimsby, a 1-0 win at home and a 0-0 draw away from home. Fleetwood have had a decent start of their own, very similar in fact, but I still think Grimsby look quite a serious unit this season and should win this home game. And finally, Walsall at home to Accrington Stanley. Aki's performance at Exeter last weekend was very concerning to me. And I can see, which somewhat surprised me, that the fans have seemingly turned on John Doolan completely, which slightly caught me off guard, I must admit, after what I thought was a decent season last season. But I suppose second half of the season, they barely won a game. And so the fans are now close to kind of 8 months without their team really looking very competitive. Quite a lot to like about Walsall's displays so far this season and the additions they've made to their squad. They are the fifth and final selection. So the Eggman at 40.0, 39-1 with SBK with a 6% ACCA boost is Blackpool, MK Dons, and then in League Two, Bristol Rovers, Grimsby and Walsall. BTTS, six-fold. You got all three of yours up last week and I did not match your quality. We go again with a 21-1 BTTS six-fold plus an 8% boost on a six-fold ACCA.
Blackburn versus QPR, the first one up. I'm just going to keep hammering Mowbray's Blackburn whenever I can. 2-1 in the first game, 2-1 in the second game, 2-1 in the Carabao Cup midweek. Still being priced up as if he isn't their manager, and he is, and he likes goals. QPR also look pretty goalsy. Yeah, they drew 0-0 last time out, but from in terms of attacking quality, they certainly have it in abundance. And another team that are regularly kind of priced up as if they're a low goal expectancy side. So 8-11 for those two seems great. Bolton Lincoln at 4-5. Two teams who came up last season out of League One as kind of decent attacking sides. That's not going to be the case for a lot of time this season, but when they play against each other in the third game of the season, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. Bolton scoring twice in their home first game against Preston, and again another game against a team maybe of poor quality in the Championship, and BTTS copped. Lincoln conceded 3 against Pompey last time out, but did score. I don't really understand, especially given this is quite a big game and both teams will kind of need to win it to set out their stall early season. It shouldn't be that cagey, so 4-5 seems huge. Like if this exact game happened at the end of the League One season, there's no way that 4-5 would have been the BTTS price. So I don't know why, different environment, different price, but yeah. And then in League Two, Crawley against Bristol Rovers. You just spoke about it a second ago. Steve Evans' Bristol Rovers look pretty good to me from an attacking point of view. And I think Colin Kazim-Richards is Crawley Town team will also be, we've seen the way that they're set up to attack. They look quite I think a BTTS team to follow would be the way I describe them, like quite ambitious on the ball, certainly have some very good attacking wide players, maybe a bit rocky defensively. So yeah, Blackburn, QPR, Bolton, Lincoln, Crawley, Bristol Rovers.
Colin Kazim-Richards' Crawley Town team are a BTTS team.
Correct. Thank you.
I'm adding Southampton Millwall, already discussed this game. Really think Millwall are likely to cause Saints problems, especially if Harwood Bellis is missing again. But let's be honest, Southampton at home, pretty good going forward. They've scored in their last 13 home league games in a row. The last time they didn't was actually at home to Millwall on the 1st of January. But I think BTTS here. I think the same in Leyton Orient against Barnsley. Barnsley haven't yet scored in the league, but they have had 35 shots across 2 games and 93 touches in the opposition box, which is the most in the league by miles. Stendhal's actually coaching a half-decent attack, but they just haven't quite worked it out in front of goal yet. Yes, they don't have many razor-sharp strikers, Barnsley, but I think they have I think they're putting in the attacking performances to cause Orient problems, and I'm sure Orient will do the same for a pretty weak-looking Barnsley defence. And finally, Newport against Tranmere. Kind of because I think both of these teams seem a far bigger attacking threat this season than they were last season, and I wonder if that's the sort of thing that might take a little bit of time to be reflected in their individual BTTS prices. For Tranmere, I'm still not entirely sure he's going to play in goal for them this weekend after Harrison Mayle's injury last weekend. McGee is out injured, which is why Bobby Faulkner, the centre-back, went in goal. So I guess it'll be Mayle or an emergency loan. But yeah, Newport have flown out the traps this season with that big opening day win, followed up with a 5-3 defeat to Bristol Rovers, where they gave as good as they got. They don't look like they're just going to sit and soak and play like an underdog by any means. So yeah, Newport Tranmere is the 6th and final leg. George is putting up Blackburn, QPR, and I'm doing Southampton, Millwall in the Championship, as well as Bolton against Lincoln City. And then in League One, I've got Orient, Barnsley, and in League Two, George, Crawley, Bristol Rovers, and me, Newport, Tranmere. That's at 21-1 with SBK. All of the bets that we put up on this show will be placed on the NTT20 account on SBK. So if you search for that in the search bar and you follow that account and head to the bet feed, all of the bets will be there laid out for you to copy if you'd like to. George, recap your selections.
Absolutely. Doncaster, my nap 15-8 with the 2-up feature in place. MK Dons, my next best against Leicester City at 9-5. Put up Ollie Rathbone to score anytime with fresh legs at 17-5. And then Salford City away at Shrewsbury are my ACCA swerve. Do not put them in your ACCA. 20-21.
My nap is West Brom at Borough, as well as Millwall at Southampton and QPR at Blackburn. It is a Championship away Trixie. West Brom are 4.7, Millwall are 3.85, QPR are 2-1. Goalscorer corner has in it Danny Imre to score anytime for Wrexham against Birmingham at 8.8, and Ryan Kavuma McQueen to score for Portsmouth at Bristol City at 6.4, 1 point on each, and then a half-point double at 60.0 with SBK. The Eggman is at 39-1, a 5-fold accumulator with a 6% ACCA boost. Blackpool, MK Dons, Bristol Rovers, Grimsby and Walsall, and the BTTS 6-fold has in the Championship Blackburn, QPR, Bolton, Lincoln and Southampton, Millwall. In League One, Orient against Barnsley, and in League Two, Crawley, Bristol Rovers and Newport Tranmere. Well, not to one-up you, but I'm going to have a great weekend. I hope that yours...
I'm going to have the best weekend.
What could possibly happen, do you think, this weekend for you that could match going to Craven Cottage, The Hive, Vicarage Road and Plough Lane in a 4-day period?
I'm going to Lords on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So let's extend this. What are you thinking? Emilio Gay triple century on day one?
I think it's going to rain, so just probably sit in the pub all day.
Are you saying that a pub session on a rainy cricket day can be
especially given Oxford aren't playing, so I can just relax.
Yeah, those. Thank you very much for listening to this betting show. Thank you to SBK for sponsoring it. Do get involved with that giveaway, the 2 tickets to Millwall against Wrexham, which are detailed earlier in the show, and you can get all the details on our Instagram and X pages. 2 tickets to Millwall v Wrexham being given away courtesy of SBK. Cheers. Have a good weekend and go well.